Thanks very much, John. It's great to be here. There will be some forward-looking statements. Yes, for those of you that don't know us, because I think John's been following us for a long time, but some of you may not know us, we're a proven team of explorers, and what we're doing is we're using new exploration technology to go after Carlin-type gold deposits hidden undercover in Nevada. And based on this technology, we're advancing a portfolio of 3 district-scale projects. We traded a market cap of about $20 million, and we have very high insider ownership. If we look at our team, on the ground, we're led by Wade, my colleague Wade. And I joined Wade 15 years ago to help begin the groundwater chemistry part of this program. But before we got this started, Wade ran the Western Great Basin for a company called Santa Fe that ultimately merged with Newmont. And during his time with Santa Fe, that team discovered more than 30 million ounces of gold. But what they understood was their discovery rates were crashing and that they had to try something different. And that was ultimately the genesis of what today's become Nevada exploration. At the board level, we also have terrific technical oversight. Dr. John Larson was BHP's Global Porphyry Copper Exploration Manager. And as we'll discuss shortly, BHP is definitely a leader in trying to go into new terrains to look for big, large new deposits. So John very much understood what we're doing here. And this year, we've been very fortunate to welcome a new technical advisor by the name of Simon Griffiths. And Simon was Barrick's global chief geochemist at a time when they found a gold rush at the north end of Grass Valley, which is an area that we're going to be talking about today. And the reason that's so important is because Gold Rush and the discoveries that continue there today at 4 Mile are really driven by some cutting-edge geology. And so we've been able to piggyback on the workflows, on the models, if you will, that were successful there to now begin to advance South Grass Valley, which again is what we're going to spend a lot of this 10 minutes talking about. So everyone that's active in Nevada is going to spout some fairly impressive statistics, but everything that you really need to know about Nevada are these things, these Carlin systems. With more than 250 million ounces, it's one of only 6 gold belts in the world of that size. But 80% of these ounces, these Carlin ounces, come from 3 camps, and everything else in Nevada is relatively insignificant. Because these camps are so big and they're so important, we know a lot about them. If there's another remote, you could bring it up, that'd be great. These 3 camps are all remarkably similar in terms of how their size and their makeup. They're made up of large regional scale structures that are cutting through reactive carbonate, we call them lower plate host rocks, up against the margins of large intrusives. And the intrusives are important because they prepare these lower plate rocks to be even better host rocks. And now this architecture in all 3 cases have then been exploited by massive hydrothermal systems that affect tens of cubic kilometers of bedrock. These are big systems. And if we want to find a camp that looks like this is the size and scale of system that we need to be looking for. Despite how much we know about these camps, we haven't been doing a very good job of finding them. After peaking in the late 90s, Nevada's gold production is now down 40%. And what's happening in Nevada is the same thing that's happening in mature districts all over the world. We've done such a good job of spreading out and exploring that if these deposits are sticking out of the ground, we've now found them. And today, what's left to explore in most of these major jurisdictions are places that look like this, where the bedrock's covered by sand and gravel and other sorts of cover that means that we can't see the bedrock. And unfortunately, the challenge that we face is the tools that work when you can see the rocks, they simply don't work very well when you can't see the rocks. What's exciting, though, is if we go to these places, the percentage of bedrock that's remaining to be explored in these covered settings is actually bigger, and there's more area yet to explore than all the other areas that we've already looked at. So it's an incredible opportunity, and the industry leaders get this. BHP's already spending 85% of their global exploration budget looking undercover. So recognizing this is the future, recognizing that the potential in Nevada is to go after large Carlin systems, we're going after what the industry agrees is the 200 million ounce residual endowment in these valleys. So the question is, how do we do that? Well, the answer, for those of you that know our story, is it really is driven by groundwater. These valleys are just full of groundwater. And as the groundwater flows along the bedrock that we can't see, it dissolves the geochemistry of the bedrock, which ends up in the water. And what that means is today, instead of needing to collect a rock sample, we can collect a groundwater sample. What's so powerful about groundwater is that it moves. And what we get are footprints in groundwater. They're 10 times bigger than the footprints that we respond to in bedrock. And when you have footprints that are 10 times bigger, you can find them with 10 times fewer samples. Most importantly, the cost to drill a borehole to collect a groundwater sample is only 1/100th of the cost. So you need 10 times fewer boreholes, or 1/100th of the cost. All of a sudden, we have a radical increase to the amount of area we can explore with our budgets, allowing us to get back to being systematic as we explore in these areas. Because it's so powerful, groundwater chemistry is being used all over the world. But what differentiates what we're doing here in Nevada compared to all these other programs is, rather than relying on existing boreholes and wells and infrastructure, recognizing how important this is, we've developed equipment that allows us to collect groundwater samples wherever we want. Using this equipment, we've now completed the world's largest hydrogeochem exploration program. We've collected more than 6,000 groundwater samples from the north-central part of the state, looking for new Carlin systems. And based on that, we're advancing 3 projects. We've most recently been active at South Grass Valley, so we're going to zoom in here at the south here to Grass Valley to give you an idea of our workflow. When we pick a valley like Grass Valley, logical target immediately south of one of the world's largest camps, one of the world's most profitable camps, we use our equipment, we collect groundwater samples, we find gold, we stake claims, and at this point, once we've taken a basin and reduced it down to a target, they become relatively conventional exploration projects. We integrate geophysics, in this case air magnetics and gravity. We begin to integrate geochemistry, soil geochemistry, more detailed groundwater sampling. We map all the exposed range fronts to extract all the information that we can from that. And ultimately, we begin drilling. And that's what we just finished this summer, was a 10-hole stratigraphic orientation program designed to see, do we have the size of mineral system that could be responsible for an entire new district? Because we're the first ones going to this search space. We have the benefit of going after the low-hanging fruit. We're going after a new camp. Can we find that sort of mineral system under the project? Was the exact reason why we began these 10-hole program. So with the drilling, which we've just completed, we're able to begin to orient the geophysics that then ties into the geochemistry, and what we were able to build then is a comprehensive geologic model for the bedrock that we can't otherwise see. And what we've been excited to share over the last few weeks is that what we found here is the classic geologic architecture of a Carlin-type system. We've got the right regional scale folds and structures, cutting through reactive host rocks up against an intrusive, known as the Grass Valley stock, which we'll be looking at a bit here. But what's even more important is what we've been able to define in terms of the system, the mineral system, the hydrothermal system. What we're seeing here is widespread alteration, intense silicification, sulfide, oxide mineralization with gold and enhanced elevated pathfinders over a strike length of more than 3.5 kilometers that remains open. What we do then is we take this geologic model, we integrate it with our geochemistry, and what we've defined, as we announced yesterday, are 4 specific targets defined by geologic settings known to host gold deposits in the main 3 camps, with geochemistry support in our other sampling mediums. We believe each of these 4 targets individually represents an opportunity to find a new deposit in what is now a camp-scale project. And yesterday, what we announced was a 23-hole program with specific objectives of how to advance each of these 4 targets and exactly what we need to see in order to continue, exactly what our definition of success is going to be. We tied all of this together into a comprehensive movie that we released yesterday, and I encourage anyone that's interested to take a good look at it. Now, there's other places in the state, there's other projects, there's other explorers that will have, that do have projects that do check some of the same Carlin-type boxes. But what's really important to point out here, and what differentiates what we have going on at South Grass Valley, is really the size of the system. We're seeing these features, like I said, over 3.5 kilometers in bedrock that remain open. We're seeing the same pathfinder element footprints in groundwater and soils over 8 kilometers. What we have here is a mineral system that's comparable in size to the Northern Carlin Trend. And that Northern Carlin Trend hosts 80 million ounces. That is the potential of what we're looking for at South Grass Valley. And what we believe we found here is really the 4th, potentially 4th camp. And we did it in a place that looks like this. Not only has this validated what an important place South Grass Valley is, it's validated the entire exploration workflow that's got here. So, we've got our South Grass Valley project that we've talked about, scale of the system compared to the other main camps, and we've got another project here at Kelly Creek and another project here at Grass Valley. We have 3 district-scale projects. We've proven that our workflow works, and we're really excited to begin the next phase of drilling at South Grass Valley. So please come to the booth with any questions.